Hello, everybody! JC Stapleton here. Welcome to the Season 3 draft for Formula Poop. I am so excited to be here today with my colleague, Bruce Arnold. Bruce, how you doing?
Doing great, JC. Happy to be here. Hello, folks. Bruce Arnold here. Take it away, JC.
We are ready to draft. So in the off-season, 5 mega teams emerged. Last year, Season 2 and Season 1, we had 10 teams, 2 drivers per team. This year, it has coalesced into 5 super teams led by some big name sponsors. Budweiser, Nestle, Heineken, and Narragansett. Am I reading that right, Bruce? Is that Narragansett?
That is Narragansett, JC, a brewing company I don't know where, probably in Massachusetts. Who knows, JC, but they are small. And they have a great captain, though. Who do they got, JC?
Well, that would be Bimmy Räikkönen, the corrupt commissioner we all
it's Bimmy!
So this has to be some type of tobacco backdoor deal.
Oh, absolutely, JC. That guy is a slime ball.
And not surprisingly, guess who's picking first, Bruce? That would be Narragansett.
That is a surprise. Didn't see that coming from a mile away, JC.
So the order, as prescribed by Bimmy, this will be a snake draft, Bruce. We're going to have Narragansett, then Heineken, led...
JC, let me start you there. That is a surprise. A snake draft? You would think Bimmy would want that next pick? Well, so give it to him there.
That's a good point. Bimmy's always working the PR side of things too. You can't read too much into that, Bruce. I think this is more of a don't get caught with your hand in the cookie jar situation. But we have Narragansett 1, Heineken 2, led by Alex. 3's Budweiser. That's led by Dobro. He's kind of a weirdo, I've noticed in my interviewing behind the scenes. Have you talked to him much, Bruce?
No, not much for me, JC, but I think he's a talented driver. What sets you off on him?
Very talented, kind of a weirdo. We'll learn more about that later. Nestle's picking 4. That is Frank Alonso. We all know what type of driver he is.
Yeah, he's one of the best in the business, JC. No denying that.
And then Sapporo, led by last year's drivers champion, Dave Clifcardo. He's back this season leading Sapporo. Now, an interesting part of this draft, because we do not have enough drivers, Frank and Dave's team will not pick a 4th driver. They are out. So some teams will get 4 drivers. Those 2 teams will only get 3, so they have to pick well. And who are they picking from, Bruce? Well, old man Mel Kiper, he brought us his power rankings earlier today. Here's his mock draft. He's got Brian going number 1, Claff 2, Halatic 3, Jack 4, Mike 5. That's his first round. Bruce, what do you think about that first round?
I think it's a solid first round. I think we are aggressive on Halatic a little bit, and kind of giving Mike a little shoulder there. I think Mike's got a little bit more talent than he's showing at the 5th pick, but not a bad lineup. What do you think, JC?
Well, it looks solid from top to bottom. What about the bottom? You think about those first round drivers, all very talented, but these teams, because they're larger, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th driver are going to play a big role. What do you think about the back end of the draft, Bruce?
Well, I like most of the picks except Pat. Let's move Pat to 13. We all know Pat really doesn't have the skill that I think is a good bottom driver. What do you think, JC?
13 for Pat. Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. Put Pat at 13, JC. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, I mean, Pat drove well at times last season. Got some good points. We'll see the stats later, but 13 seems extreme. There's some
Nah,
rookies in the draft. Why 13?
just put him there. Let's move on.
Well, there's not much to do right now because Narragansett is on the clock. Bimi Räikkönen is behind the scenes trying to figure out, is it going to be Jack? Is it going to be Mark, Brian, Mike, Hladik, or even someone not in that top five? While we're waiting for that pick to come in, I'd like to introduce Bill Fuxton. Bill, welcome. I know you're monitoring our social channels. What are the fans saying here?
That is correct, and thank you, JC. Thank you, Bruce Arnold. It's a real honor for my first recording with the two legends in the flesh.
Oh, that's a good way to earn a lot of friends here in the announcers booth. So you're monitoring Twitter. Anything come through yet? I know it's early in the draft, but have you heard anything?
Yep, a little. There's some action. There's some heat on Twitter right now. Let me see if I can find a question for you guys. Let's see what we got. Here's one from @MamaLovesMillerLight. I have thinking Pat should be in the top 10 is disgrace to brains everywhere. Mel should be ashamed of himself.
Oh
What do
wow.
you guys say?
Oh wow. Looks like the fans agree with you, Bruce. That's some strong words from the Twitterverse.
Yeah, I've got a great following, JC. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter. Follow me at Bruce Arnold ACC. But yeah, people listen to what I say, and if I think Pat should be at 13, they'll get behind me. They'll realize that I could be right here, and Pat is just a terrible driver.
Well, the fans might agree with you. We're about to find out if the captains agree with you. Will Pat be taken first overall at this point? Now I don't
Hold on,
know.
JC, have you heard of multiverse theories and stuff like that? Different universes, right? I don't think there's a universe out there where Pat would go number one. Just saying.
My only multiverse experience is with Marvel, and there is a world with zombies. Would you draft a zombie or would you draft Pat?
That zombie,
Dun,
just not drafting. Not drafting Pat.
Well, there's the noise. I just heard it. We have the pick is in going number 1 overall, Season 3 Formula Poop. It's Claff. Claff is the first overall pick for Narragansett. Claff finished 8th last season. 15 top 10 finishes, one of the best in the league, certainly one of the best in the draft. No sponsor. Bruce, what do you think of this pick?
It's a great pick. He's a midfield juggernaut. We saw him say that himself. They had a great chemistry in Poop Car, always sniffing butts and feeling it. So I think it's a good start to Narragansett. I think this is a good building block. I think Claff will be a great second driver for him. Bimmy, I think he's ready for the challenge. He's been with some lower tier teams, and now it's really time for him to shine. I think it's a great pick.
Well, bit of a concern about sniffing butts. Obviously, last year that butt sniffing got him COVID-19. And in Formula Poop, you can't sniff butts or you're going to have a damaged nose.
Yeah, I think a lot of the drivers were getting that slime out of them with preseason testing.
One of the problems I see here, Narragansett, I haven't heard of him. You haven't heard of him, Bruce. Claff comes in with no sponsor as well. So this team, unless there's some gold under the track, there's a vault in the paddock that Bimmy has access to. They are really hurting for funds right now.
Yeah, they are.
So while they're digging through the cushions of the couch backstage, Heineken is on the clock. This team is led by Alex. He was able to bring Ferrari into the fold. Heineken, Ferrari, two major players in Europe. What do you think about that pairing, and do you think Alex can actually be a factor this season, Bruce?
I absolutely do, JC. This dude is a racer. We see it in Poop Car. He just knows how to ride a car. It doesn't matter if it's a NASCAR, an F1 car. He knows how to handle it. I think with a Williams, I think he can do a lot of damage this year. We saw it in preseason testing, JC. He had I want to say a 30-second lead before all the safety cards, so he can get out there. He can spread his wings. He can fly.
That is a new wrinkle this year. You mentioned it there. Safety cars will be introduced. and it could really change the complexion of this league. We have the pick is in. You heard the noise. Let's head down and see. It's going to be Brian. Brian is the number 2 overall selection. Brian finished 11th place last year. Pretty disappointing, Bruce, but he's picked 2nd overall.
I think he's going to have a huge step. That second season was an absolute fluke for Brian. His balls are out. His line's off. He's a man, and we've got some people that don't have that right now. Mm-hmm. They're going to struggle from the beginning.
Yep.
Brian's got it.
He's got that veteran savvy, one of only 2 in the draft, Mark being the other, that has won a race in Formula Poop. He brings 2 career wins to the table, 14 top 10 finishes.
And it's important to note that Brian, out of everyone in the draft, my stats are showing me that Brian had the 2nd most points in the draft for people that were showing off their balls. So that is a very impressive stat. Our analysts have it.
Yep, and with the trend of the league to go towards balls out, manning up, that is a valuable thing to have. And it seems like here, the 2 top picks, going for veterans, going for folks you can trust, rather than that extreme upside.
Absolutely, JC. And he looked great in preseason testing as well. I think it's a great pick. It's right where he should be.
Well, now we wait
too.
We wait for the Budweiser pick here. Bill, anything from Twitter on the first 2 picks, or in general, any questions for us as we wait for the Budweiser pick?
Yep, let's see what I can find. Yeah, here's one from @ISniffAss420. When is Nick coming back?
Well, I think Commissioner Bimmy made it pretty clear that he will never be allowed to drive F-Poop car ever again.
And you gotta wonder. Yeah, you got to wonder why that is, Bruce. I mean, seemed like a really great person, a kind heart, a good soul. Does Bimmy just hate good people?
I think he does, JC. I think our definition of good's a little generous. He did call Hladek a cunt, so...
Oh, yeah, yeah. But he was in Australia. That was the Australia Grand Prix.
Fair enough, JC. Fair enough.
Done. Could have been a term of endearment, but that sound right there, that is a term of draft pick has been selected for Budweiser. Dabro is going to go with Jack. Jack moves up to number 3. I think old man Mel Kiper had him 4 in his mock draft, but Dabro reaching here, he's going to take
Wow, JC, that's a shakeup. I did not expect Jack to go, but he's a consistent driver, JC. He's always in the mix. We saw him even prove himself. Jeddah last year, fighting off Dave for most of the race. He can stick with the mids. He can give Dabro some, good help throughout the race. I think it's a great pick there for Dabro.
Well, not just stick with the mids. 15 top 10 appearances last season. That's some really good consistency there, despite spending half the race on Bumble.
Yeah, he's known to be a dater. We know that. We saw that last season. But I think, like you said, he's consistent, and that's what Dabro needs. Dabro will be up in those top spots fighting, and all he needs is Jack to be fighting that midfield to get up points for this Budweiser team.
Well, you talked about being consistent. The 3 picks so far certainly are that. Let me share some wisdom with you, Bruce. One of the tips that I give to young drivers who come up to me, they say, JC, how do I get better at racing? Well, tip 1, I always say, don't crash. Crashing ruins your race. And if you look at...
That's great wisdom, JC. It's great wisdom. Keep going.
The kids are looking for advice, and that's tip number 1 for me. You look last season, obviously Dave had a historic year, didn't crash once, but Jack comes in, only 2 DNFs last year.
JC, this is enlightening. This is exactly what we love to see here. Jack's consistent, and you showed it with the data. I love it.
Yep.
Love it, JC.
Then you have our captains, Frank, obviously a stellar driver. Dabro, he's getting another consistent guy in Jack. Bimmy, 4. Then you got Gus and Drew. That's an aberration because I think they only raced in 4 races. But then you get to the other potential first-round picks here. So Claff, number 1 overall, 5 DNFs. Hladek 6, Brian 6. I feel like if those three want to take it to the next level, they've got to bring those numbers down.
Absolutely, JC. Yep, absolutely.
And then if you go a level below, you got Alex, who's a captain, 7 DNFs. That's absurd. Nate Rico, and then Ethan. These guys are in that sweet spot. They could bring their numbers down significantly, and suddenly they could be first-round draft picks. Maybe they already are. Who knows?
17 for Nate. I just wanted to highlight that.
I think we only had 16 races last season. So let's take a quick look at the mock draft. Right now, Nestle is on the clock, but old man Mel Kiper's mock draft. Brian's off the table. Claff's off the table. They flipped. Claff went 1, Brian number 2, Jack number 3. He jumps Hladek in his ranking here. Interesting. So we've already seen one shakeup. Wonder if we'll see a couple more here as we wait. Nestle is on the clock, and that is Frank Alonso. Who do you think he's going with here, Bruce?
I think it's a toss-up, JC. I think you could see either Hladek or Mike possibly in this spot. Or does he take his guy with Swallow, the new guy? I doubt that because his balls will need to be completely out, and he's brand new. So that would be a tough pick, logically, for Frank. I know he might want to get his guy, but I don't see it happening. I think it's down to Hladek or Mike here. What do you think?
Well, you touched on something there. The first-round picks, balls must be out. Bill, I know you've been following this closely. Can you expand on that a bit?
Yeah, so the balls out first round initiative, as the execs and F Poop have been referring to it around the halls. The move to get racers with their balls out, force them with their balls out. What Formula Poop is hoping to see is bringing the midfield closer to the guys in the back early on. That midfield group is going to improve rapidly once they get used to racing with the line off. So that's what we're hoping to see out of the office, or the execs are trying to see out of the office there.
And the requirement is, if your team drafts you in the first round, that means no line. And that could be a strategic play here, as Nestle picking 4th overall. Did they go with a veteran who's been balls out? Did they go with someone else who has some upside? Or did they just punt the pick because they're busy stealing water from people? We'll find out, because there's the sound. The pick is in, and they're going Aaron. Oh, my goodness.
Wow. JC, Aaron. Okay. Aaron was strong in Poop Car, but Poop Car was the easiest game anyone's ever played. So I think this is a big stretch here, but Aaron shows he can go step up to the challenge, JC. It's just
what a challenge he's going to have to step up to. I mean, has never raced in Poop Car. In Formula Poop, raced in Poop Car, did podium there, but it's a whole different beast. He's going to come in with no advantages, a rookie going against savvy veterans. I just can't believe this. This is shocking.
Yeah, JC, I don't get it, but let's see how it pans out. Fucking Aaron. All right. You can cut that and keep that button.
Bruce, your mic's still on? Bruce?
Oh, sorry. Mike,
actually, I got this is a good question for you. Got one for Bruce. Bruce, what's your favorite drink? That's from @TomBrandy12.
Favorite drink? I don't really drink.
Bruce, you don't drink? You're a man of the people. Everyone loves you. Our league is sponsored by beer. You might want to pick up a favorite.
We'll go with Narragansett, baby.
What? You haven't? Brian, I asked you at the beginning of the draft if you heard of Narragansett.
First thing I saw.
You said no.
Cut this out. All right.
This is all in. You left your mic on. You've rambled. You've forgotten a title sponsor, and then you claimed they were your favorite. Oh my goodness! And Aaron's been picked in the first round, folks. That's how this draft has gone so far. Sapporo is on the clock, and I see someone coming up the stage. There's the sound. The pick is in, and this is, I mean, this is wide open at this point. Who knows who is available at this point to drive with Dave? Actually, here's the graphic real quick. So Aaron's off the table. Hladik, Mike, Nate, Dan, Pat. Pat could be the pick here. What do you think, Bruce?
I think it's another toss-up, JC. I think it's Hladik or Mike here, or he's out of his mind. He's got it. The history with Hladik. There it is. I knew it. I knew it. You didn't let me finish.
Well,
but I was gonna say
it already happened. We had to go to it. It is Hladik, former teammates.
Yeah,
Hladik
absolutely.
finished 8th last season, 16 top 10 appearances. I mean, would you go with a rookie or someone who's finished in the top 10 16 times?
It's not only that. We saw them at Jeddah. We saw the teamwork that they can provide each other. They're the reigning champs. I think it's a match made in heaven once again, JC. It's going to be a strong team. Going to be a really strong team again.
And I've heard, Bruce, I talked to Zach Brown. He said if Hladik and Dave were able to reunite, he would come back. So it sounds like McLaren is back in the fold. I think we're going to bring some orange to these cars.
Yeah, and I think it's a great ad. They won the championship last year, right? You need that orange back. It's going to be a staple to this league for years to come if they can build off of that win last year.
Well, now Sapporo gets to pick again. This is their last pick of the draft. Now, interesting.
Oh, baby! Yep.
Interesting
Yep.
here. The second.
Oh, baby! JC, it's gonna be Mike! This team's gonna be ridiculous, JC!
The second round pick could use the line. So who is it going to be? There's the sound. There's the sound, Bruce. Who is it going to be? It's Mike.
It's gotta be Mike! Gotta be Mike! JC, he would have been out of his mind. I would have lost all respect for Dave if he didn't pick Mike here. This team, you need the orange back, JC. It's going to be an icon for years to come. JC, it's what a pick.
Mike finished seventh last season in some very good equipment. We expect that to scale down a bit because Sapporo is not a global team, so they don't have the money to put Mike in a rocket ship, but he's still going to be good. 13 top 10 appearances, 9.2 points per race, and he's going to have the line. That's huge.
JC, I was just going to ask you, do you think he will use the line, or do you think he will try to be a man about it?
That's the question. We'll have to see. You know, Bill, any feedback here from the fans on what they think of these picks?
I do have some fan questions. Let's see. I got one little off topic from your question about the actual topic at hand. At Christian Hornier, do you have a least favorite driver on the grid?
Oh, absolutely. I'll take this one,
Pat.
JC.
Thanks for the question.
Yours is Pat? Absolutely. Mine too. JC, what about you?
Oh.
Pat's Pat's. Nope, go.
Yeah. Well, you know who I think was a terrible driver? That was Steve. I'm glad that Steve has been kicked off a team. He was the Nikita Mazepan of Formula Poop. Get him out of here. Just a toxic person. It's a shame that... It's great that we lost Steve. Shame we lost Nick, who is a great person. The mirror opposite. But that's who I'd pick. This year, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So we have a few minutes here waiting on Nestle's pick. Nestle is on the clock. Some big folks off the table. The top 5 that Mel selected are off the table. And the only aberration right now is Aaron. I guess the question is, how far will Nate and Dan and Pat fall here? Or are they next to be picked?
I think that Frank could go Ethan here. He has a bit of a history with Ethan dating back to the go-kart days. So I think he could make a stretch pick here, go Ethan, or go with his buddy Dan. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
Well, do you have 2 rookies on the same team? Do you have Aaron and Dan who I'm not sure he even raced last season. He was supposed to be a replacement driver. Do you go into the season with 2 rookies?
Frank could just want his guy. Every draft there's a team that wants their guy, and that could be Dan here for Frank. But if he wants a little bit more veterans, he could go Ethan. I think here. So we'll see.
We'll see. And of course, Nate Rico's still out there. There's the sound. We have the pick. The pick is in, and it's Dan Swallow.
Wow. Oh yes. Yeah, he got his guy. Like I said, there's always a team that does it in the draft. It doesn't matter what sport, but Frank went out and got his guy.
Well, I wonder if Nestle's looking at this like Frank's getting kind of old. His reaction time is slowing down. Let's bring in 2 rookies. Let's try to find the future. Dan Swallow comes in with a superb name, a great sponsor, a sponsor that really appreciates loyalty. And now he's going to be with one of the best in the league.
Yeah, I thought Miller Lite really got screwed this week by Claf Data. I thought he was so immature about going about it, and I love to see that Dan was swiped up by them.
Big pickup. So now we're going to have a chance. We have the first look at both the Nestle car and the Sapporo car. They're done picking. Their paint team is put the stencils on. The sponsors are on the car. Let's take a quick look at the Nestle car. And what are you seeing here, Bruce? Look at those beautiful lines, wonderful colors.
Yeah, it looks great, JC. I really like what they did with those tires and lines and things like that. I really like the birds. Birds look good as well. So excited to see more. Excited to see some more leaks.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then let's switch over to the Sapporo, and look, they've got the orange on there. McLaren on the nose, beautiful.
You love to see it, JC, and like I said, we need the orange back. We need it back at F-Poop. This could be a dynasty for years to come, and that orange is iconic.
Well, Budweiser's now on the clock. Bill, and any feedback on those beautiful new liveries, and any questions from the fans here?
Let's see. I have one from @merbabydick. Now that Formula Poop has a formal incident review process, name who you think will name your top 3 drivers for most penalty points.
Oh, there's going to be penalty points this year. Well, based on last year, you've got to put Al on top of that list. Al had a couple of very personal incidents where it almost looked like he was targeting folks. What about you, Bruce?
Yeah, we've got a lot of rookies this year, so I think it's a toss-up, really. Maybe Nate, because he had 17. So.
Well, you got to think Nate Checo. Nate Checo was going for the alternative points where you crash out AI.
Right, that's true, JC. So we could see something completely different this year from Nate Checo. And I know I was talking to Claf Data's agent earlier, and he'd love to be reunited with Nate Checo. He thinks he's a great teammate. He won it for him in Monaco. So we know he can race. We know he can defend. We just need to see it this year.
Well, you mentioned Claf. I think he might be another potential incident-heavy driver because he's the ultimate teammate as well. And if you have Bimmy on your team and you're supporting Bimmy, I think there's going to be a lot of blocking.
Yeah, I think Claf could be up for some damage this year. I agree with you there, JC. He's just a bulldog in there.
Well, we have Budweiser on the clock right now. I wanted to share a little bit more wisdom while we're at it. And when the kids come up to me, they're like, JC, you're so handsome and smart. And I always say, thank you, kids. And then the kids say, how do I become a better racer? What I always try to tell them is the best thing to do is to finish before the people you're racing against. And in Formula Poop, you get points if you finish in the top 10. We took a quick look at the drivers who are consistently doing that, and you'll see a lot of these names. They're familiar. Hladek, Claf, Jack, and Brian, all in that top tier. Mike, 13 top 10 finishes for him. Then you got Nate, who surprisingly hasn't been picked yet. He has 9 top 10 finishes, and then there's a big drop-off. But some surprising names. Gus, of the 6 races he performed in, top 10 in 2, crashed out in 4. Nate Checo, somehow, we talked about his 17 DNFs. Well, he has 2 top 10 finishes when he's not crashing out. And then Alan Steve, who of course is a terrible person, and I'm glad he's out of the league, but Al with a top 10 performance, very impressive. So, kids, if you want to do well in racing, finish before your competition. That's my wisdom.
JC, hold on. Can I just talk just one thing?
Oh, of
Go
course,
back
Bruce.
to that.
Chad wants to point something out as well.
Hold on. Can I just say something? Haladic was 16 as a rookie is ridiculous. I mean, do you see any rookies getting to his level this year? Because what we saw from Haladic was just insane as a rookie. Do you think the high draft pick of Aaron? Do we think Aaron could be a juggernaut like Haladic was?
A few picks ago, I would have absolutely said Aaron, Bruce. Aaron has the raw skills that Haladic displayed last year, but his captains put him at a huge disadvantage right now without any of the assists. I don't think he's going to have 16 top 10 finishes, or it's a shorter season, but I don't think he's going to have nearly the same percentage. In fact, I think he's going to have a lot of DNFs as well.
That's just it's a historic year for Haladic. Let's just put it that way. And
Done.
Aaron was put in a tough situation from Frank. So just tough.
Very tough. Very tough. Well, we have the Budweiser pick. It is in. We've just heard the noise. And they are going with... It's Pat! Pat has been picked here by Budweiser. A great selection. A young driver, finished 16th last season, but he had the second most alternative points. It's really, when he puts his mind to something, he does a superb job. Bruce, what do you think about Pat at Budweiser in a Mercedes?
So, JC, I hate that everyone loves Pat because I think he's an awful driver, but this particular pick was the only pick that I liked for Pat. Don't think he's a good driver, but he has the chemistry with Davro. They both drove the Williams last year. It's really the only team I could see him going and saying, hey, that's a good pick because I hate him as a driver.
Well, Budweiser does have another pick. You'd still take him here, or would you wait for that third-round pick?
I don't even know who's available, JC, to be honest with you, so it's a good pick.
It's your job to know who's available. Okay, well, you say he's a bad driver and a bad person. I challenge that a bit. So now Heineken, with Pat off the board, Heineken's on the clock. Alex and Brian, quite the 1-2 punch. Bruce, who do you think complements those two drivers right here at this pick? Round 2, pick 4.
Yeah, I think old man Mel Kiper Jr. was right here. I think he could pick Al here, to be honest. I don't see him picking Gus again. He's been a teammate with Gus. He knows Gus will leave him on the spot all alone. I think Al in a Red Bull is intriguing, and they won't have any issues with each other, if that's the case.
Good point about Gus. Gus, familiar with the Ferrari, well, as familiar as you can be sleeping through half the races. That could be an interesting pick here to get someone who knows your machine, is comfortable working with you, but you don't think that's it. Let's see what we have here. And there's the sound. The pick is in. It's Nate.
That makes sense, actually, now. That makes a lot of sense. JC. I don't know why I didn't pick him, JC. What am I looking at, JC? It's such an easy pick, JC. Why picked? I don't know, JC. Keep going.
Nate goes 9th overall. He finished 12th last season. Quite frankly, this is disrespectful, I feel.
It's the easiest pick of the draft, JC. It's they have a history. Like easiest pick.
And I'm looking at the monitor here, and this might be a reason. He was somehow the only person who failed in Poop Car. Had to quit halfway through the season. Couldn't get his engine to work. Was a terrible driver. He was kicked out of the league. So that could have been some baggage that teams were avoiding.
That might have been why I forgot him. I was so intrigued with Poopgar, and he just fell off the face of the earth.
Disappeared. Well, here's what we have. We have 4 drivers left. Old Mel Kuiper's seniors mock draft. Ethan, Gus, Aaron has somehow been picked in the first round. Kuiper had him at 11. Then Al and Nate. Do you think, with the rule changes this year, that Nate deserves to be 13th on this list?
I think it's tough sample size for him. He didn't start really racing until the end of the season, but he had a top 10 finish in Jeddah, didn't he, JC?
He did. He raced incredibly, and he shows up every week. The same can't be said about the 3 other drivers remaining.
Yeah, he's consistent showing up, and I think he could be consistent with getting top 10s if he wanted to. Now that the FFAG, we know it's been appealed, or what is it? Removed? What is it? What's the word? Rescinded? Is that the word?
Very good.
There it is, JC. My brain took a few seconds there, just popping around for words.
Well,
but yeah, I think he's consistent. I think when he tries, he might be good. We just don't know, JC.
But he doesn't try. He's known for not trying. Do you take him here in the second round? Narragansett has the bookend pick, so they pick here in the second round and again in the third round. So they're looking at 2 picks here. Do you take Nate as one? Do you go with one of the other options? Gus?
It's a tough call for Bimmy here. I think he just signed Claff. Claff has a history with Nate. He knows he can be a good teammate with Claff. Does he just jump in and they're the 3 amigos? I don't know, JC. It could be interesting to see, though.
I will say 2 top 10 finishes of his 6 races for Gus. That is the type of potential you might not get this deep in the draft if he can show up.
Absolutely, JC.
It's a tough pick here for Narragansett. The pick is in. Let's see who they go with. It's Nate. Nate Checo. He is going to Narragansett. What do you think of this pick here, Bruce?
I think it's a great pick. I think they have the history. I think Nate in a Red Bull could be... I mean, he had to drive that boat Aston Martin around all year, and he could handle it. Can you imagine him in some good power? And I think it could be a match made in heaven for this Narragansett team.
I think more power just means more spinning around in the track for Nate Checo. I don't know if he's put the time in. I don't know if he will put the time in. Maybe Narragansett can motivate him. But I feel like this is a bit of a reach here in the second round.
It could be, JC, but it could not be. They have another pick. What do they care?
They are back on the clock. The pick is in already. Narragansett knows who they wanted here. They have a plan, and they are going with Ethan. Ethan is the pick here in the third round.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. I think Ethan just hasn't lived up to the potential. We had high hopes of him coming in. And he's in a McLaren, JC. He's going to have some power, too. So they got some good power coming from that 2 and 3 pick.
A rookie last year, had some top 10 finishes. Also had probably too many DNFs and too many missed races. DNSs. If Bimmy as a captain can get the talent that we know is there out of him, this could be a scary team. I guess my question now is, can they actually fund a car? Modelo brings a lot of money to the table. They're a big global sponsor. I wonder if the pick was around talent or around that capital that they're going to desperately need.
Yeah, he's really popular down in Mexico, JC.
So while we have a moment, we're waiting on the next pick. Right now, I believe Heineken is on the clock. You know, Bruce, sometimes kids come to me and they say, JC, I want to be a good racer. And I say, well, child, my handsomeness is not what makes me fast. Going fast is what makes drivers fast. And last year, you know, one of the best people we have ever had in our company in the paddock, Nick, got the lion's share of the fastest laps. There's going to be a big hole to fill here. A lot of points could be on the table this season. If we look at last season, Frank, aside from Nick, went got the fastest lap 4 times. Dave and Billy each got it once. We're going to see some new drivers and some fast cars. I think this is wide open next year.
Oh, absolutely. You think of all the captains, right? Alex, he can put in a good time for one lap. Dabro's got the potential to do it too. I think it's a toss-up every race. Really depends on who's on their game for that day.
It should be good. It should be exciting. The point structure has changed this season. People are going to be battling up and down the grid. We're excited to see it. Heineken is excited to see it. They have their pick in. This is turning out to be a pretty stocked team. You've got Brian, who Kuiper thought would be the number 1 pick. He fell to number 2, scooped up. You got Nate, who fell way too far. I don't think he should have been picked 9th. And he doesn't have to have his balls out. He could have a very solid season. You've got some fast guys here.
Yeah, JC, looking at this Heineken lineup, I think we have 2 contenders for comeback player of the year. We saw it was really a down year for both of these drivers. Brian wasn't on his game each week. Nate, once he went traction control off, he seemed lost out there for a few races. But I think these 2 have a chance to come back strong and really perform for this Heineken team. And I think if they do, this is a team to be fearful of, JC.
They've got the Ferrari power unit. Gus is still available. Do you pull the trigger, Bruce?
I don't know, JC. I don't know. Well, we talk about reliability for all these picks before this. They're both kind of a reliability showing up wise. So it's really a toss up for me, JC.
Well, you don't have to guess much longer. The pick is in. It's gonna be Gus.
It's gonna be Gus.
Pick. And I understand your hesitation here, Bruce. I think this is a good pick.
Yeah, if he can get his new gear together and he can get ready for this season, I think it's a good pick. But he's gonna have to stop taking naps, JC, and show up. I think that's the big thing here.
Well, when he does, he finishes 3 points per race last season.
He's a great driver, JC. Yep. He's a great driver. I have nothing against his driving ability. It's his availability,
So with Gus off the table, that leaves 1 for Budweiser. Budweiser is going with Al. Al is going to round out the field. What do you think about Al in a Red Bull this year? Very fast.
JC. Another availability here, but the driver, I think, is strong. I think in a Red Bull, we saw it in preseason testing as well. His DNF was a fluke if you didn't catch it, JC. Tapped the wall, his wheel just absolutely bursted into flames. But before that, he looked good in preseason testing in that Red Bull, and I think he could handle that car. I think he has pace. I think he's, as a last pick, I think it's a strong one.
I think this is a travesty that he is the last pick.
Yeah.
Showed very good pace. Aside from the targeting of other drivers, I think he could be a top 10 finisher more than one time last season. This is the type of guy, he has the talent, he can put in the work to get 5, 6, 7 top 10 finishes in a season if you support him the right way.
I think it's doable, and I think if he shows up in that Red Bull week in and week out, he could be a good addition to this Budweiser team.
So all the drivers are picked. The logos are on the car. Let's take a quick look. Here is the Budweiser vehicle, a callback to the old Vodafone McLaren cars, silver and red. Look at that. Beautiful eagle on the nose there. What do you think about that car, Bruce?
Yeah, it's Ferrari red. What are we talking about?
Well, Budweiser red.
Budweiser, yes, that's what I meant, JC.
Very different tone, slight different tone.
Yep, that's what it was, JC. I couldn't tell the tone. It's looking good. It's looking sharp. I think it's one of the nicer cars. I'd love to see the Ferrari red car after this, but it does give it a run for its money.
Well, you don't have to wait.
Even though I
any
haven't
longer.
seen it yet.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you haven't seen it because it's not red. Here is the Heineken Ferrari vehicle.
Oh, it's
Beautiful.
not red.
Metallic green with the red nose, red pinstriping. Absolutely gorgeous car here. But no, not the red. Heineken has taken the lead. They're the lead title sponsor. They want their brand represented.
It makes sense, JC. It's a great green. I love the red stripe, like you were saying, a throwback to their Ferrari heritage. It's great star, the Heineken star. I think I can see there on
Very,
back.
very nice.
Looks good.
And we talk about tone. The tone has been tweaked slightly. That's not the Heineken star. That's a Ferrari red star. You may not notice at home, but I know you do, Bruce.
Yeah, looks good, JC. Looks
And
really
then,
good.
whoa, here's the Narragansett car. It looks like they can't really afford paint.
Yeah, we do this coming into it. Claff Data's struggling for money. He dedicating this season to his mother. He says, I think it's a publicity stunt, JC. I don't know about you. I think he'll eventually come groveling back to a sponsor and love to see who it is because they need the money, JC.
Is that spray paint on carbon fiber? I can't quite tell. It doesn't have the
Yeah.
sheen of the other cars.
Yeah, it does look gross, JC. I have to agree.
If I'm
Looks like a back alley in Boston. You know what I mean, JC?
Never been. That's why I don't know anything about Narragansett. So I guess I'll have to make a trip some point. So here's the teams as they look right now. You got Narragansett, Billy Claff, Ethan, Nate, Heineken, Alex, Bryan, Nate, and Gus. Oh, that's a team. That's a team to beat right there. Budweiser, Dobro, Jack, Pat, and Al. Interesting there. Nestle, Frank, and the two rookies, Aaron and Dan. I don't see them being a factor this year. I think good upside, but I don't think they're going to compete.
Only chance they compete, JC, is like I said earlier. If Aaron can have a historic rookie season like we saw from Alatic, that's really the only way I can see this Nestle team competing.
Tough putting all the pressure on a young kid like that. And
It's really, yep.
you
it's
don't
tough.
have a fourth teammate either. So these guys have to be on their game every race. Tough task. And then Sapporo with Dave, Halatic, and Mike rounding out the field. And then we take a look here at the budgets based on their sponsorships. And you can see Narragansett, despite having the overall pick very low, Heineken, a ton of money funneling in there. They're going to have a lot to work with. Nestle and Budweiser, they're going to be able to switch a few noses. We do have Monaco coming up. The question is, can Sapporo and Narragansett? Sapporo only has 3 drivers. Narragansett has 4. They just don't have any good sponsors. Can they change enough wings?
Yeah, I think Heineken, that's a team you can really market. Look at those drivers and their sponsors.
Heineken, Coors, Bud Light, Pabst Blue Ribbon, all on that team. They're going to get a lot of support, a lot of praise, and a lot of eyeballs.
JC, you could hold on, JC. You could say that all of those drivers' secondary sponsors are better than the title sponsor at Narragansett.
I mean, there's no doubt there. There's no doubt. I've never heard of Narragansett. I know it's your favorite beer as of 10 minutes ago, Bruce, but this is wild that a brand like this is on the national stage. They're going to have to get about 15 secondary sponsors. It's going to be Narragansett, Kiva, Red Bull, Yeti. They're just going to have to beg, borrow, and steal to get a few bucks.
Can you even market these drivers? I mean, none of them have a history of being a fan favorite, JC.
Billy, an absolute corrupt cheater. Claff got into a big spat with Nick, and all his fan appeal that he earned from Williams dropped off the map. Ethan, nothing significant to say about that person.
The fans are saying he's a fraud.
Oh! Thank you, Bill. That's coming from the fans itself. We can't even argue that. And then of course,
I've never seen anything like this before in my life.
And then of course
they are inflamed.
And then Nate Checo, who, some people love targeting AI. The AI community was not happy. I think we all heard the blowback from the AI community, how much they hate Nate, and if they can, they will ruin him.
That is not, JC. That is not a community you want to mess with. Trust me, JC.
Bill, you've been talking with the fans, it sounds like. What do they think about
Yeah,
these teams?
so we recently put out a question to all the fans out there just asking, what do you think of the teams out of this draft? And ever since we put out that tweet, we've been seeing some questions come in, or some comments, and it's shocking, really. Everyone is just hating Budweiser. There's a lot of Budweiser hate out there, almost exclusively Budweiser hate. I'm going to take a look at some of these. See why is there all this hate? Here's one. I can't believe Budweiser drafted Pat. I fucking hate that guy. I'm never drinking Bud again. That one's coming at you from @Dr. Glock.
Yeah, Dr. Glock hit the nail on the head here, Bill. But I like the pick. Can't deny it. But anytime you pick Pat, it's a tough pick. It's a tough pick.
Boy. What about the teams that can only pick 3 drivers? Actually, forget that. What about Nestle, the 2 rookies? What are you hearing there, Bill?
The 2 rookies, everyone just hates Pat right now. That's all I'm saying.
Overwhelming.
That's all I'm saying.
Overwhelming.
Not surprised, JC.
Wow, that's a great comment there. Bruce, you got quite the following.
Yeah, I do, JC. Follow me at Bruce Arnold ACC, where you'll get all the top stuff for the F poop. So there you go. They love me.
Well, we love you too. For Bruce Arnold, for Bill Fuxton, this is JC Stapleton. Thank you for joining us, and good luck on Season 3.